Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we are going to be playing some more Explorer Best of One. We got up to Diamond with my Rakdos midrange list. Now we're going to just try out a couple different decks. And one of the decks that I wanted to kind of see, and I kept losing to in Best of One, was Parhelion combo. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, the combination, so basically what you want to do with this deck is self-mill or loot away Parhelion, the vehicle, into your graveyard. And then you reanimate it as early as turn 3, potentially turn 2 if you can't stay awake. So Greasefang Akiba boss brings it back. You can then crew it that same turn, attacking with haste. So as early as turn 3, you can attack for 13 points of damage, and you get left with 2/4/4 Vigilant Angels left afterwards. So that's kind of the combo element of it. You also have Skyship as just another vehicle that's got some utility. And then the rest of the deck is kind of like a mid-rangey shell that has a backup plan. So you have like Citrus Supplier to mill you, the Voldaran Epicures, as well as Blood Tithe Harvesters in this deck create blood tokens which allow you to loot the spells into your graveyard. Undead Butcher, the list that I was seeing, we're playing 2 of these. I'm opting to do a split between 1 Undead and 1 Kroxa. This is just another mill enabler that when it dies, you can return a creature from your graveyard to your hand, so you can bring back your Greasefangs. You have reanimation effects but can't stay awake. Some copies of Fatal Push as well as Lightning Axe as removal. Fable the Mirror Breaker ramps you, also loots, and then allows you to create copies, and kind of playing into that. So it's kind of a turbo combo deck in a way, to kind of see from there. I did post it on my YouTube, but this is my Rakdos list that I got to Diamond with. 25 and 7 with this particular version. It's a lot of trial and error and kind of geared towards Best of One. I've won every Winota matchup and lost every Greasefang matchup. If you want that list, I'll post it in the video description as well if you just want to give that a go. But today we shall play some Greasefang, see how it plays out. So Explorer Best of One. I did post a meta video this week for Explorer from the list I found. From when I recorded that to now, their untapped did start tracking stats. So I'll get those included. Surprisingly, in Best of One, Rogues had a really good win rate, so we'll probably feature that deck one day. Very much akin to the previous standard version of Rogues, so if you have that deck, it's pretty much the same. Lots of variations of Winota kind of scattered in there. It's still a little early, so you're getting a lot of just, folks jamming Winota. Winota's a good deck, but you can easily kind of lose to yourself. But we're just trying to go linear with combo here. So this hand, we're missing black sources, so we're going to mulligan. This hand looks good. It's actually an interesting hand. So we're going to keep... I think we put Kroxa back, because really our turn is going to be discard on turn 1 to mill. Thoughtseize will take away Greasefang, so this probably is Rogues. Okay, so Can't Stay Awake can now reanimate, so we have that in the graveyard. I also have this Undead Butcher. Hitting the Deadly Dispute's kind of annoying. They are down to 14 though. Incidentally, just start applying some pressure. Here, mana efficiency wise, I'm going to do this. It's also, if this dies, I could get Greasefang back. So we've milled 2 Greasefangs now. Because next turn I can just play this out. Okay, so this looks control as opposed to Rogues. Takanuma is actually really good as well. So I think we're going to do this. play that tapped. So the reason for this is if they do sweep, I get to mill 6 more cards. So there's a higher likelihood at that point that we do hit a vehicle. We've gone pretty deep into our deck. If not, I put some pressure on them. In case they have Jawari, I don't want to get hit. They could have a counterspell here. They let it resolve. That's fine. Let the push happen. At this point, they're at 8 already. Oh, it's Esper. We'll discard that. All right. See what opponents got. If they have like Shadow's Verdict, that's bad. They don't have Settle Up. I'm going to hold this just in case we get something that makes a blood token. I mean, I can't stay awake, but it doesn't really make much sense. We have lethal on board. They need to do something here. If not, I can use Kiki to start making copies of things. It might be a counter spell. Doomscar. So let's bring Greasefang back to our hand. Jeez, we cannot buy I think that's fine. Just gonna play this out at this point. So if they go something like Teferi, I can crew the ship or play the ship. If they counter the ship, we're okay. Fortunately, this can't go face. Even just like Voldaren Aperture is actually not bad. We have one in our graveyard. You are crew cost 3. So any creature works. Ideally, just got to get it into play. Voldaren Aperture is not bad. They have Search. So I'm going to get Blood Tithe here. The treasure has more utility to me. This is just a game where we got through half our deck and we just never found a vehicle. If we could have done something post-sweeper. I want to give them the least amount of information here. They have the Void Wrens. We're probably honestly dead at this point, as silly as it sounds. They'll probably play Absorbs in this list. The fact they have Void Rends and they have an active Teferi makes it a bit difficult. Our Kroxa is at the bottom of our graveyard. That would be another way. And then they have active Search for Azcanta as well as the castle. Okay, so they do have Heartless Act here. They do need 2 spells here, in a way. That's actually good as well. They have Veto and that. That's super frustrating. So I'm actually just like casting Stitcher at this point doesn't make sense. I'm just going to cycle this. Because I have one more copy, or I have 2 more copies of Epiture, and that's a way I can deal damage. Like, I don't think we can hit the Teferi. Okay, that Fatal Push, just cheap interaction. I could have done both, but they likely have a sweeper. Okay, it's not bad. This might be able to get me to force. Problem is here I need to get past a counter and a removal spell. Yeah, you know, we lost this one. This game's gonna go on for another little bit. We're at like the bottom of Diamond. Let's just run it again. So we came very close that game. A little bit of variance, but once they had Teferi active, they're just getting to use their mana really efficiently every turn. We did mill like 20 cards there if we were able to sneak through an Akiba. May have been right earlier. I think getting the boat down is the correct play. I think what we probably should have done was getting the Epiture or just a Blood Enabler to cycle through. But part of that too. We made a decision to put the Kroxa to the bottom. Had we done like Undead Butcher, like Kroxa would have had a lot of utility there. They just showed hard removal, they didn't show exile, so we could have kept just forcing Kroxa back turn after turn and taxed them that way. Opponent goes first. I think this hand's fine. Depending on the matchup, we have this. Mono red. Mono red's actually kind of tricky. It really depends. Like, them on the play is going to go a long way. Especially when they're hitting like our Epitures. So I'm going to just get this out. They naturally always have it. Yeah, they're play draw might have had a bit of an effect here, just being able to untap, but us not drawing. So how do we do this? So I actually think we have to just play out Greasefang this turn to try to block. The mono red matchup's probably 50-50. Play draw goes a long way, and just depending on how quick we can hit the combo. The fact that they're just disregarding my face here, or they have skewer, yeah. I guess I could still do it if I draw Parhelion. Fatal Push doesn't really achieve much here. They have so much burn. I needed, because the problem is I can do that on Croxa, but so this is a game where like we keep Croxa, and if we had that other hand with like Stitcher, we would have done a little bit better. Part of this is best of one, obviously, but haven't been able to do the thing. This deck is one of those ones that when you play against it, it seems like they always have it on turn 3, and when it's played against you, sorry, when it's played against you, they always have it on turn 3, but when you play it, you just don't see it. There is an Esper version of the deck, and I think we might actually try out that. I'm going to give this one more game. I'm going to pull up the Esper version, and I want to try that one out as well. They're very similar archetypes, so I don't really think it warrants necessarily separate videos, but that seems reasonable. Mono red. So notably mono red with the exile's kind of good against us, like with this effect. But what I can do is I could Sky Sovereign. Okay, got the Esper version. We'll give that one a go after this. They might be stuck on lands. Honestly, that's pretty solid for us. So we'll just Croxa here. Gets another card out of their hand. And then I can basically kill 2 things next turn, which plays out pretty good. And they're kind of inclined, like they've already used a skewer here. Okay, cool. So I can kill their board and attack them for 6. Ah, 1 card off. So it enters the battlefield, kill you. Crew up, kill you. And then next turn I can just hardcast this. And then kill something else. The one thing, if they have a burn spell here with etchings, it does exile my Greasefang. They could have Lightning Strike here. They don't. Okay. Interesting. They're just going face. Alright. We got him there. Backup plan. Let me try out this Esper version. We'll give it a go, see how it plays out in comparison. So import Esper Grease. This is really, at this point of the format, I'm trying out different things. I want to see what works, what doesn't. We have the Fatal Pushes, we have Otherworldly, we have Can't Stay Awake. I think instead of you, I want a Boat. Yeah, I want Boat. Vehicle. Skyship Sovereign. Yeah. All right. So same kind of core idea, but what we're doing with this one is instead of using the blood package, we're a little bit more all-in combo. And actually another card I wanted to try out was Charm. So notably Maestro or Obscura Charm. This could return a multicolor permanent with 3 CMC from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So you can do this on end step to get around like counter spells. Also has some utility as a removal spell. So this is something I wanted to try out in addition. I think with the Deadly Dispute's probably not great here with us being so low on creatures. So I think a second Obscura Charm, potentially a 4th push, and gonna go Tezzeret. Just being able to draw loot. Sorin might also be decent, but Sorin's just another way to bring back. Let's try it like that. So same idea, self-mill, and then kind of going from that regard. We'll try out this version, see how it plays out. So we could do this more at instant speed, end step, discard. We have some life gain in the various effects. What we want to see is the lack of mid-range. So we're going to be worse against control, probably just more linear of a combo. But we'll try the game, see how it plays out. One thing that these decks sometimes play in, they also play sweepers sometimes, which we might want. So this hand looks good. Gonna lead off with Stitcher here. This is likely Winota. Okay, double Parhelion's great. So this turn I'm gonna Thought Seize them and then determine if I'm gonna go Otherworldly Gaze. I always say Glaze. So we could be getting Winota next turn. So no Winota quite yet. I can take the double Chariot from them. Can also take the Brutal Cathar. I think I want the Brutal Cathar from them. And so the reason for this, they have 2 chariots. If they only had 1, I'd take it. I don't want to Thoughtseize again this turn because I'd rather hit the try to hit a Winota. And the exile on this, potentially want to get the mill going. Perfect. Look at put any of them on into your graveyard and the rest on the. Look at 3 cards, put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest on top of your library. Cool games. And then I can Thoughtseize myself to put it back into the graveyard. Even if they Winota here, I have the blockers needed. I also have enough lethal in the air. They could gain some life, but as long as I can stay alive this turn, I can Parhelion and go from there. I also have March that I can discard the Parhelion to. Or no, I can exile it to get rid of if they get another Brutal Cathar off it. So this version's on the Courier's Briefcase. You're seeing that as some tech. It's another copy of a turn 2 Accelerant that makes a Citizen token that can play for Winota. Got him. Got him. So slightly different. Got the result we wanted. I think in best of 3, I prefer the Mardu version. It's less all in graveyard hate. Like our version here is very susceptible to graveyard hate, and it gets counter spells. In best of 3, you get access to, I guess, some control elements in it. But I think I do like the Mardu plan of just, you know, you have Croxa, you have the blood tokens, post board you could bring in like Chandra, just kind of really change the demeanor in which you're attacking. I think in the dark, while I do like kind of at times having push available on one if they have an elf. Oh, they're on some sort of affinity list. A little annoying on the mana. I do need to do this for Tainted Indulgence. You're an instant, right? Draw 2, then discard 2. So I definitely want to land. I'll discard a card. So depending what they do here, like I can try to get rid of Patchwork Automaton. Your ward 2, so I can Fatal Push it. I can also just try to go for Tainted Indulgence. Let me see what they do here. I think just taking the pressure off the board this turn is actually pretty good. Then next turn, it's actually pretty solid. I think I'm willing to pay the 3 life here. Depending what they do, I might want to play this. as a removal spell. You're 2 to animate. So I actually think I'm going to take the block here because I want to mill. So I could Obscure a Charm. I think we're just doing this. Oh, I should have probably Faithful Mending. Discard a card. Could Thought Seize them. I think we keep the land. Kind of punished there. You can use Tezzeret for a turn as like a distraction. Cool. So we're gonna go combo next turn. Mashiko's actually interesting here. So they might just try to go face here. Oh, they're gonna go face hard. 14 me? 15. Okay, so target vehicle becomes an artifact. If it isn't a vehicle, it's base power 4/4. Then I need to hold up Esper mana. So let me do this. Cool deck by the opponent. I think we're going to give that a shot, actually. So I can do that. Pass the turn, that comes back to hand. Their line will likely be Mashiko to like one of their things. And then try to give it trample. I'm dead to a counterspell here, but I was dead to a counterspell regardless. And I needed to do this on their turn. So we'll destroy that. We have to block here, and then we just win on the flip side. So I draw, discard Parhelion. Crew up. Got him! Cool deck by the opponent, though. Esper Charms won us those games. The other deck didn't have Obscura Charm, whatever it's called. That one did what we needed that game. We'll try out that Affinity deck, though. It looks sweet. So it's probably like Patchworks, Skilled Animator, the 1/2 copy. I wonder if they're on like Tezzeret or something. That looks decent. We have potential for turn 3 here. Or we just hit only lands. Esperoni. So I can shock. I think we're just doing this. Could be Greasefang. We could technically play that land. I think this person's on the Esper version as well. This name looks familiar. I think I've played them before. I mean, we just go for it. If they have the kill spell, I can do this on their end step. Got him. Skill-based game. You see there, we strategized. We did everything we had to. And we just flipped it on cue. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap this one up. We did a couple games of both. Had some bad variants with the Mardu version. We saw some of the benefit of the Esper one. Playing the games, I like this configuration actually pretty decently. I don't know if we necessarily want March. I think just maybe going the full March or potentially having a sweeper could be decent. That or even something like Mire Trade-in over the March could be decent. Just gaining you the life, the death touch could be relevant. I guess there is Undead Butcher for a similar vein, but maybe just more ways. The one thing that I kind of miss in this list is, well, I guess you have the 8 copies of like the discard plus the Tezzeret in here. Yeah, I'd probably just cut March and play like Dimensify, like the Destroy All Creatures Wrath. That might be something to consider, but gives you an idea of what the deck is all about. We have a lot of 1-mana spells, so that's why we're not playing the Triumph. And I think that's right. You're trying to combo. You're not trying to go late game. And mana wasn't really an issue. We have a lot of the fast lines. So that's the deck. Let me know what you think. We will catch you next time. Thanks for watching, everyone.